And you know, what's interesting is that I find sometimes you just gotta work through some shit before you kind of get into a flow state. And that's what happens with a lot of these YouTube videos. I'm noticing is the first like 2 to 3 minutes, or maybe even more than that, is just a lot of just blech. It's just a lot of gunk, right? You got to get some movement going, get some momentum going. It's kind of like if you're playing a sport, if you're playing basketball, before you play, you got to warm up. You got to shoot a little bit and find your shot. You know, it's the case with any sport. And I think that applies to most other things, like taking these videos. I feel like I'm getting into more momentum, more flow, once I sort of gave myself permission to just kind of keep moving and keep kind of saying something until something came out. So that's good. Maybe that applies to other things. Maybe I've been putting off getting work done because don't have the patience or perseverance to push through that first phase of resistance. Maybe there's a lesson there. It's kind of like in chemistry. I remember learning chemistry. They talk about I believe like the activation temperature. Sometimes a chemical reaction can only happen above a certain temperature. So if you mix two substances, at first nothing's going to happen, but once it gets to a certain temperature, then the reaction can happen, and then it happens very rapidly. So maybe that same dynamic happens with people and work and getting things done. Maybe I just have a higher activation temperature than I'm aware of. Maybe that's what laziness is. It's just an unwillingness or an unawareness of your activation temperature to get some momentum. And you just gotta push through the sludge, the uncertainty, the missed shots, if you will. And then you start to get into something a little more substantive, if that's even a word. Substantive? You get into the meat and potatoes of what you were trying to talk about. Right? Okay. Oh, alright. I think a lot about one of these days I could very well get into an accident on camera. But I guess it won't be uploaded into YouTube until I put it on there. So it's only going to happen if I go live, which I have not yet done. Maybe once I get more of a following. But if I'll post more consistently, and then at some point I'll be doing this shit live, baby. Only if you want. Now I'm thinking about my activation temperature theory. Now you gotta get through the first couple minutes of something. You gotta warm up before you get to the zone of flow. Right. And that's probably hurting my YouTube channel growth. Because I'm just turning on the camera and just putting it all out there. And the first couple minutes are the worst. You know? And that's when people click off. behoove me to cut out those first couple of minutes. So that way these videos don't start with a bunch of bullshit. And then once I get onto a topic, that's when the video will start. So maybe I'll change the channel to Matt Yari Only Slightly Edited. Cut off the warm-up. There's an idea for you. So, maybe that's what we're talking about today. Activation temperature. You gotta push through. Push it to the limit. Yeah. That's all I got for you. I'm gonna go home, probably throw some meat in the oven, hit the gym. So there'll be a couple more videos coming your way. Peace.